Hey everyone, welcome to FinLoop. Today, we're plugging into the US electric vehicle market for a much-needed reality check. And we're using the latest global EV outlook from the International Energy Agency to diagnose what's really going on with America's shift to electric. Okay, so after years of what felt like just this unstoppable, explosive growth, right? The US EV market, well, it pretty much slammed on the brakes in 2024. I mean, sales growth, which was flying high in the double digits, slowed all the way down to just this. And when you see the numbers side by side, wow, the sheer scale of this slowdown is just staggering. We're talking about going from a blistering 40% growth rate in 2023 down to just a quarter of that pace only 1 year later. That is a massive shift, and believe me, it has the entire auto industry talking. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to first look at the slowdown itself. Then we'll diagnose the main causes, think price, plugs, and policy. After that, we'll check out how the competition is heating up. And finally, we'll reveal the IEA's pretty shocking new forecast for 2030. Okay, first up, the great EV slowdown. Let's just set the stage here. This isn't just a feeling you might have, or, a couple of bad headlines. The data is crystal clear. We're seeing a really significant and pretty abrupt shift in the market's momentum. And look, you don't have to take my word for it. Here it is, straight from the International Energy Agency. Their own report confirms the central problem we're digging into. It really seems like that hypergrowth, that acceleration phase, it's over, at least for now. Which, of course, leads to the big question, why? So, what's really behind the stall? Well, the IEA's diagnosis basically points to three big hurdles that are holding back mainstream EV adoption in the US. And here they are: the price premium, the plugs problem, and the policy puzzle. The IEA's analysis really boils it down to this powerful combination of three things: what you actually have to pay, the frustrating hunt for a public charger, and just this growing uncertainty around government support. All right, let's start with the big one, the price tag. In the US, the average battery electric vehicle still costs a pretty hefty 30% more than a similar gas-powered car. I mean, for the average American family, that price gap is a huge barrier to entry. It's just simple math. And this slide really gets to the core of the affordability problem. Think about it. You can go out and find over 50 different gasoline models for under $30,000. But for EVs, there are only two options in that same price bracket. You just can't build a mass market if you don't have affordable, entry-level cars for people to buy. Okay, number two, the plugs problem. It's becoming less about range anxiety and more about charger anxiety. It's not just how far can the car go, it's where in the world can you charge it. And the US is, well, we're lagging badly here. With 28 EVs for every single public charger, American drivers are facing almost 3 times the competition for a plug compared to drivers in China. And this lack of infrastructure becomes a real deal headache on road trips. I mean, look at this. Nearly 2/3 of the entire US interstate highway system still doesn't have consistent fast charging coverage. And what does that do? It basically keeps a lot of EVs tethered close to home. It stops them from being the one car a family can rely on for everything. And finally, we have the policy puzzle. Yeah, federal tax credits exist, but the rules are so strict that only about 20 of the 110 EV models on the market even qualify. Now, automakers have found this clever little loophole with leasing, which helps, but the whole picture, federal funding, state rules, it's all facing a lot of uncertainty. And that creates a chilling effect on long-term plans. So while all of this is going on and slowing the market down, the competitive landscape itself is going through a radical change. We're talking about a total transformation. The era of just one company dominating the whole space, yeah, that's officially over. I mean, just look at this. Tesla's once ironclad, unbreakable grip on the US market has slipped, and slipped dramatically. In just 4 years, its market share has plummeted from a totally dominant 60% all the way down to 38%. So what's driving this big shift? It's one word: choice. Since 2020, a staggering 110 new EV models that aren't Teslas have hit the US market. That's a flood of fresh options for consumers from pretty much every major automaker out there. And this really feels like a true turning point. Get this, 2024 was the first year ever that Tesla's US sales actually fell. At the same time, sales from all of its competitors combined grew by a very healthy 20%. The rest of the industry is finally really in the race. Okay, so when you put it all together, the slowdown, those hurdles we talked about, and this totally new competitive map, what does it all mean for the future? Well, the IEA has taken all of this into account, and they've just dramatically revised their forecast for the US market. And this brings us to what might be the single most important takeaway from this whole report. Seriously, for anyone watching the auto industry, this right here is the new reality check. You have to see this to believe it. Just 1 year ago, the IEA was projecting that EVs would be more than half, over 50% of all new car sales in the US by 2030. Now, based on all this new data, they have absolutely slashed that forecast, all the way down to just 20%. That is a truly dramatic downgrade. And to put that 20% number into a global context, this new projection means the US is now on a much, much slower adoption path than the other major markets. I mean, China is now forecast to hit an 80% EV sales share by 2030, and Europe is on track for 60%. We're talking a massive difference. So this leaves us with the critical, multi-trillion-dollar question for everybody involved: automakers, policymakers, investors. After hitting this major speed bump, what is it actually going to take to get the US EV transition back into the fast lane? Subscribe to FinLoop for more such informative videos.